Our leaders from more than 50 Commonwealth nations have started 2 days of talks in Rwanda. But many are also questioning the role of the club of mostly former British colonies, including Britain's Prince Charles. In his opening remarks, the royal acknowledged the changes afoot, adding that each country was free to chart its own course.
I want to say clearly, as I have said before, that each member's constitutional arrangement, as republic or monarchy, is purely a matter for each member country to decide. The benefit of long life brings me the experience that arrangements such as these can change calmly and without rancor.
The official heads of government meeting comes after foreign ministers from participating states met yesterday. They had discussed everything from post-pandemic recovery to sustainable development. The leaders' talks are set to cover a similar host of topics like trade, health and climate change. More on this, Leon Sunyange joins us live from Kigali in Rwanda. Leon, Prince Charles there painting quite a candid picture of the Commonwealth's current position. What does that signify to us about the group's changing relevance?
Well, it's very interesting. The relevance of the Commonwealth itself has been a very big question over the past few engagements, but very much so more relevant this time round, this engagement in Kigali, Rwanda. Several of the Commonwealth nations have turned into a very dynamic search for opportunities elsewhere, majorly in the Far East and also Europe itself. Now, that becomes a very huge concern for the Commonwealth nations and even still the top countries, the UK itself. So in trying to consolidate its stronghold on the 53 countries that form the organization, it has called out for huger things. Solidarity among the members, uniformity and unified cause, a unified goal for things, a particular search for opportunities within the Commonwealth countries. So that still remains a bit of the relevant bit. Ultimately, the values therein are the history, the culture, governance and, well, rule of law. And those are the values that are being propagated by the Commonwealth itself. But even still, questions still remain on how relevant that is. And we hope that by the end of the conference here this week, there will be more answers than questions about why countries should stay within the organization.
Leon, of course, as we mentioned, leaders going to discuss the usual topics that we can expect. So post-pandemic recovery, climate change. Of all these topics, which ones are likely to gain the greatest priority? And can we expect any concrete deliverables?
Well, climate change has been one of the major talking points at this time round. Many of the countries are calling for more financing and more implementation of the policies that have been decided over the years. Specific areas, especially those within the Commonwealth nations, the Caribbean, the Pacific, the Indian Ocean itself. The nations there in those areas are affected greatly by climate change. They need answers. They need concrete resolutions to this challenge, to this global challenge. But even still, issues of trade come through. Many of the countries are going through what would call an economic challenge because of the Ukraine-Russia war that has spread just not only in Europe but across the globe. And there need to be answers to this particular thing. So the desire to have free trade, the desire to have more money coming through in the health sector itself, some of the things and resolutions that many of the heads of state would want to leave the Kigali here with and answers with, so they can really have much of a greater future with them, with their nations and part of the Commonwealth itself.
And thanks for that, Leon Sunyange in Kigali, Rwanda.